Every season, each team has a player that provides significant value to their club. Yes, even the Oakland Athletics did, having breakout Zach Geloff last year. In this video, I will be going over who I think will be each team's MVP for this upcoming 2024 season, so let's get into it. Kicking it off with the Arizona Diamondbacks, I have franchise cornerstone Corbin Carroll, who is coming off a massive first full season with the club. Carroll put together a 25-homer, 54 stolen base campaign last year while also playing really great defense in the outfield. Still just 23 years of age, I definitely don't think we've seen the best out of Carroll just yet. I believe he has an honest shot of going 30-30 in 2024, which would make him one of the most valuable players in all of baseball. Even though I genuinely think Strider will take home the NL Cy Young with the addition of his curveball that looks absolutely insane so far this spring, I also think that Acuna wins NL MVP yet again this year, making him the clear-cut choice for me here. I really don't need to explain this pick too much. When Acuna is on his game, he's arguably the best in the whole league. The key for him is simply remaining on the field for the entirety of the season at this point. Moving on to Baltimore, I had a plethora of options, including budding superstar Gunnar Henderson and newly acquired ace Corbin Burnes, but instead I'm choosing catcher Adley Rutschman in this spot. The guy is just supremely talented and durable, which is evident by the 20 homers and 277 average he had in a whopping 154 games last season. I think that in 2024, Adley officially cements himself as the #1 catcher in all of baseball. Now we head to the Boston Red Sox, where I'm going with third base slugger Rafael Devers. Devers has obviously been the model of consistency around the league the past few seasons, as he's almost a lock for 30 homers and over 90 RBIs, assuming he stays healthy. He's not the greatest defender at the hot corner, but his hitting ability is so good that I still expect him to be the most valuable player for the Red Sox yet again in 2024. Sure, I might be snubbing Luis Robert here, but I think Eloy is fully capable of delivering a more productive campaign this year. If Dylan Cease hadn't got moved a few days ago, he probably would have been my pick here, but as a result of that, I'm going with Eloy Jimenez. Jimenez has been tearing the cover off the ball this spring thanks in part to adjustments he made over the offseason. Look for him to hit over 30 homers with an average of 275 or higher this upcoming season. In my personal opinion, the Cubs are a pretty uninspiring team heading into the 2024 season with not a ton of names to look forward to watching. However, I think that the second half of the season that Seiya Suzuki had was very telling as he hit 13 homers and a .313 average in only 67 games. Sometimes it takes a while for players to adjust to a different team or a different league, and I think that was absolutely the case with Suzuki here. On the Cincinnati Reds, I think their MVP in 2024 will be sophomore Matt McLain, who's had a strong breakout campaign last season. McLain mixes a fun power-speed combo while still hitting for a strong average despite his high strikeout rate. If he can even slightly improve his strikeout rate this upcoming season, I think that we could be placing McLain as one of the position's best by season's end. Next is the Cleveland Guardians, and it's a pretty obvious choice in Jose Ramirez, who still remains as one of the most underrated players in the game today. Ramirez is so consistent as he's almost always over 20 homers and 20 stolen bases with around 100 runs and 100 RBIs each season. He's also been extremely durable throughout the entirety of his career, and he should once again lead the Guardians into what they hope will be a playoff spot by the end of the 2024 season. The Rockies are very clearly not in a good position organizationally, but the lone bright spot on the team has to be Nolan Jones, who's worth being excited for. The high strikeout rate is obviously a glaring problem that can have him face regression, but 20 homers and 20 steals in just 2/3 of the season speaks volume to his skills and potential over the course of a full year. Expect his name to be talked about a whole lot more this season. Now we move to the Tigers, where Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson are the obvious ones, but I'm going with Tork because I feel like his ceiling is higher, at least for this year. Torkelson began to break out last season as his second half saw him hit 19 homers in just 72 games, which is unbelievable. I think 40 homers is completely within reason with a solid average hovering around 240 in a rebuilding year yet again for the Tigers. Houston is obviously a tough choice as they legitimately have 3 or 4 hitters that are true stars in the MLB, but I'm going with Kyle Tucker in this spot. Tucker is a lead on both sides of the ball and has a real 30-30 potential while providing a really strong average along with it. Hitting cleanup behind on-base machines such as Alvarez, Bregman, and Altuve, don't be surprised if Tucker leads the major leagues in RBIs this season. This is the year I think Tucker finally gets the true recognition that he deserves. Bobby Witt Jr. is my pick for the Kansas City Royals and another easy selection for myself. He proved last year that he's now entered superstar status, and the Royals also believe so with the huge contract extension he signed. His 30 homers and 49 stolen bases in 2023 were no joke, and I think he has the potential to improve on them this year. Look for Witt to lead the Royals in 2024 as they look to finally move past the rebuilding phase. Probably the easiest selection for me in this video is Mike Trout to be the MVP for the Angels in 2024, and yet I'm still not even completely confident that he will have a great or even just a good season. His inability to stay healthy is a major factor, but also the lack of protection in the lineup will make it really difficult for Trout to have a successful season despite the undeniable talent. Regardless, I'm confident that he will easily be the best player on the roster this season. The Dodgers may be the most difficult decision for Team MVP with their multiple superstar hitters and handful of ace-quality pitchers, but it's still tough not to go with Ohtani here despite him only hitting this season. We saw what video game numbers he put up last year on a pathetic Angel squad that missed Trout for most of the season, so imagining what he will do hitting behind Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts is truly exciting. The recent batting champ headlines for the Miami Marlins on this list for me, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he does it yet again. Arias just has such a pure approach at the plate that allows him to consistently put the ball in play and often with line drive results. He may not be that productive in the way of power and speed, which is why I don't think he's amongst the game's best, but his value to the Marlins is obvious at the top of their order. The Brewers are another team that don't possess what I would say is a true game changer with them trading Corbin Burnes away, but William Contreras is a guy that I think is on the rise, so he's my pick. Contreras has solid power, a hint of speed, and hits for a really strong average at the catcher position. He's far from being the flashiest player on this list, but if he takes a step forward yet again this year, he could prove to be pretty valuable for this Brewer team. Halfway through the list, and our first pitcher finally enters the equation, which is Pablo Lopez of the Minnesota Twins. For Lopez, it was the addition of the sweeper that vaulted him into ace status last year, and while his home run rate remains high, that's about the only blemish he has on his resume. While Royce Lewis should have an awesome season assuming he stays healthy, Lopez is still the go-to guy in Minnesota. The Yankees were actually a really easy decision for me as I think Juan Soto is in for a career year and a contract season. He's in my opinion the purest hitter in all of the major leagues with plate discipline that is second to none. Judge staying healthy is a key factor in his production this season, but either way I think we will see a ridiculous 2024 out of Soto. All I know is that the guy is going to be paid handsomely by someone during next year's offseason. Pete Alonso is my choice for the Mets MVP for the 2024 season as I just feel like a bounce back is on the way after a season where his power was there but the average took a major step back. Alonso managed to crush 46 homers but his average fell to a poor 217 after it was a solid 271 the season prior. While I don't think it climbs back that high, somewhere in the 240 to 250 range feels right to go along with another 40 plus homer season. Moving on to the Oakland Athletics, and now let's be honest, they really don't have anyone worth of even selecting here, but since I have to, I'm going with flame-throwing pitcher Mason Miller. Transitioning into the bullpen, Miller's stuff is tantalizing and has the potential to be one of the better closers in the game if everything breaks right with his development. The innings are questionable as he's often been injured, but the skill here is definitely not in question. The Phillies have a plethora of options to choose from here, including Turner, who had a great second half, and Zach Wheeler is among the game's best, but when Bryce Harper is on his game, he's as good as any. He was very clearly hampered by the injury when he came back last season, but he finished the year strong, and I expect him to carry over the heater into the 2024 season. Expect a typical Harper-type season this year. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Pirates, I've chosen polarizing shortstop Oneil Cruz, who was injured for the entirety of the 2023 campaign, but has been in form during spring thus far. The power and speed is elite, and the only question will be whether or not he can improve on his strikeout rate going forward. Pirates lineup is also more solid than people give it credit for with Reynolds, Hayes, and Davis, which provides Oneil Cruz with the opportunity to have an awesome 2024 carrying the Pirates. Now we head to the Padres, and what may be a surprising selection, I have third baseman Manny Machado. Now I get that most would go with Tatis here due to his elite skills, but I believe that Machado will have an incredible bounce back after he was affected by tennis elbow last year that severely hampered his numbers. He's still elite defensively, and I think he hits over 30 homers with a 275 plus average in Manny Machado fashion. The second pitcher on the list comes in this spot, and I have Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants. Webb is such a quality pitcher that is one of the most prolific workhorses around the league. You know that every time he steps on the mound, he's going to keep you in the game, and that's about all you can ask for. He's a leader in his performance, and I'm expecting no different this upcoming season from Logan Webb. Julio Rodriguez is the clear-cut guy in Seattle and will almost definitely be their most valuable player by season's end, assuming good health. J-Rod hit an insane 32 homers paired with 37 steals, all while maintaining a strong 275 average. Julio's raw skills match almost anyone in the MLB, and his young age suggests that we are likely in store for more in the coming years. Expect Julio to somehow improve on his numbers from last season. Moving on to the St. Louis Cardinals, I have premium defender, third baseman Nolan Arenado. Arenado is obviously past his prime days, but he's still a very productive player on both sides of the ball. He surely won't produce eye-popping numbers at this point in his career, but the Cards don't really have any game-breaking talents. Expect a solid season from Arenado on a Cards team that doesn't look too inspiring heading into the 2024 season. One of the purest hitters in the MLB makes the list for the Rays' most valuable player, which is Yandy Diaz. Diaz found his power stroke last year with a career-high 22 homers, but he's always had elite plate discipline and contact, which has made him a prime leadoff fixture for years now. Yandy is always setting the tone properly in each game as he gets on base often and is now a threat to drive in runs as well. The World Series MVP Corey Seager was always going to be the selection here for the Texas Rangers. While the Rangers have tons of valuable talent, Seager is the one that runs the show for them as one of the game's best hitters. He has monster power at the position to go along with the ability to fight for batting titles year in and year out. Health has been the only thing getting in his way at times, but if he can avoid injury, he's in for another huge season yet again. Moving on to the Toronto Blue Jays now, and I can go many different ways here, including Bo Bichette or Kevin Gausman, but I have to go with slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is coming off a down year. People are beginning to question Vladdy as he's now 2 years removed from the MVP caliber season he had, and while he hasn't been bad recently, it just hasn't been superstar level. Guerrero's goal in the offseason was to trim down, which he's done, and I think we see him re-enter superstar talk by the end of 2024. And finally, last but not least, is Washington Nationals, where I have breakout CJ Abrams. Abrams is a pure speedster with a strong hit tool and had a nice season at the dish in 2023 with 18 homers and 47 stolen bases. He's far from a star, but he's arguably the best the Nationals got at this point, with many prospects coming to the majors really soon. Expect Abrams to take another step forward this season and another rebuilding year for the Nats. And with that being said, that wraps up my list for every MLB team's MVP for this upcoming 2024 season. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Yet again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.